Marty McFly is a teenage time traveler, a guitar player, and an all-around 80s icon. He's also a beverage menace.
Hey, give me a tab.
Tab? I can't give you a tab unless you order something.
Right, give me a Pepsi free.
Martin Seamus McFly drinks gin, tab, saloon water, and whatever caffeine-free diet synthetic concoction he finds next to his alarm clock. Let's revisit every weird thing that Marty McFly does and doesn't drink during the course of the Back to the Future trilogy and ask the question, why is Marty McFly such a weirdo when it comes to ordering drinks? I'm here to document it all, because someone has to. We start out at the McFly dinner table in regular old normal 1985. George is basically a human apology. Lorraine is mid-monologue about some high school trauma that no one asked to hear about. Dave looks like he got rejected from a job at Failure Incorporated. On the table is a beverage buffet of emotional instability. Marty and Dave are pounding Diet Pepsis, which seems odd for 1980s teenagers to want to drink something that tastes like carbonated printer solution. Lorraine is sipping vodka from a highball glass. George is nursing a tall glass of milk like some kind of Victorian ghost. And then we have Linda drinking a Bud Light. Nothing says I'm sad that I live at home like a Bud Light at the dinner table at 6 p.m. Who raised these people? A vending machine? So Michael J. Fox, this was the first scene that he shot because he had been hired after they had shot almost the entire film with another actor. And so once they got Michael J. Fox on set, they took this scene and they took all of his lines away from him so that he would mostly just watch the scene. And then he has one line, which is where he says, Uncle Jailbird Joey?
He's your brother, Mom.
Yeah.
The movie then cuts to later at night. Marty is asleep in his clothes. He gets awakened by the call from Doc. Doc says, meet me at the mall, bring my video camera. And then Marty picks up a Carmello candy that's on the table. This is a milk chocolate bar filled with caramel. It was originally a Cadbury candy, but in the United States, it's distributed by Hershey. It debuted in the early 80s, so it would have been a hot new candy bar in 1985. Next to his alarm clock, we see a Diet Pepsi Free. Now, this is a beverage that had no caffeine or sugar. It's basically the equivalent of somebody whispering the idea of soda to you from across the room. It was carbonation and sadness. These were a little closer to today our Coke Zeros because they were intended to taste like the real soda, not like the diet soda. Diet sodas took off because they tasted different and had a very chemical but also a lighter, less carbonated taste than the regular colas. Marty goes to the mall, 88 miles per hour. He's in 1955. He walks around and then stumbles into Lou's Cafe.
Give me a tab.
Tab? I can't give you a tab unless you order something.
Tab was a diet soda. It was still around at that time, but Diet Pepsi already existed. So this exchange seemed somewhat out of date even in 1985, but the play on words with the types of sodas is very funny. So Marty wants tab, but he can't get a tab unless he orders something. So he says he'll want a Pepsi Free. But he doesn't say a Diet Pepsi Free, nor does he say a Diet Pepsi, which we know he knows about because he had one last night. He wants just a Pepsi Free, so no caffeine. But then Lou ends up giving him something without any sugar, which he gives him a coffee, which has no sugar unless you add some. But it has plenty of caffeine. So Marty's beverage selection just makes no sense at this point. It's all there just for this gag. Can I get a Red Bull? A red what? Okay, fine, I'll have a Coke Zero. Listen, kid, if you want zero Cokes, you don't have to order anything. We see Goldie Wilson, who, by the way, does not clean up this town. The 1950s version of Hill Valley looks so much better than the Goldie Wilson. Goldie's a terrible mayor. We're then taken to the home of Sam Baines, who's just a bizarre character. He runs over Marty McFly. Apparently, he does this often. And then he stashes the bodies of the teenagers he's run over in his daughter's room.
Stella! Another one of these damn kids jumped in front of my car!
I know him best because he played Captain Lou Albano in Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, the cartoon series.
Look at me! I'm getting out of here before I gain any more weight.
He's sitting at the head of the table having a Miller High Life. The kid from the Wonder Years is drinking milk, as is Uncle Who Cares and Aunt I didn't bother to look up her name. Jailbird Joey is making prison crib wine. Now there's a bottle of Pepsi on the table, but Marty never gets a chance to drink any of it because Lorraine goes into heat and no one notices this because Jackie Gleason is just that funny. The episode of The Honeymooners that is showing in this scene and had also aired in 1985. This is the Man from Space episode. It was chosen because visually it matches with the movie. But on November 5th, 1955, the episode that really did air on television was the one where Norton sleepwalked. The Honeymooners became very famous, even more famous than it had been after this movie came out because they found a bunch of lost episodes. So this movie sat like right in the height of the later revival and mania over The Honeymooners. So now we're still in 1955. Marty's in a parked car with his mother and she brings out the gin that she stole from the old lady's liquor cabinet.
Yeah, well...
So Lorraine comes from like a long line of lady drunks, the heritage of the port-stained petticoats in the Baines family line. Marty takes a sip, then he sees her take out the cigarette, so he immediately spits it out. But we do know Marty has at least attempted to drink some liquor. We also have the scene where George is talking to Marty. Marty's trying to buy a Pepsi, regular Pepsi at this point, and he doesn't realize how to pop the top off of it. End of the movie, Doc comes back, says something's got to be done about your kids. We've got a Miller High Life that he dumps into the Mr. Fusion, which I think is Biff's beer that he brought when he came in the beginning of the movie. And then we go into part two. Part two, Marty goes into that Cafe 80s, and he says, all I want is a Pepsi. He doesn't even want to die of Pepsi. We're like a day later. You know, it's like it was the 5th, then it was like the lightning strike was on the 12th or whatever, and then he's back in time. All of a sudden he's like, look, it's been a tough week. Now I need the sugar. We never find out what's in a Pepsi Perfect. I'm assuming it was just straight corn syrup. We do have the scene where they're all at the table. Junior is watching the Atrocities channel.
I'll grade the Atrocity channel.
Okay. Are you okay? Annie?
Today I had a craving for Jar Jar Binks lollipop tongues, which is a completely normal...
You've been hit by a
How in the world you could
stormtrooper.
Take an orange amphibian and say that he's a Jamaican.
Lorraine is able to take the tray of pizza with her bare hands, and it's a metal tray, which I think assumes that she's drinking something even harder now, something so futuristic. They're all drinking like some kind of iced tea or whatever out of this pitcher. Then we go to the McFly farm, right? Because he goes back in time again. He's got to go help Doc, and he's in 1885. The McFly farm, they're having dinner, and they offer him some water, and then she pours a glass of dirty water. This is not realistic to what would have happened. First of all, 1885 is the very end of like the Old West days. About 10 years later, you're moving into very modern times. But also, even when people were very deep in the Old West, they, first of all, didn't drink a lot of water because water would have parasites in it and other things, so you'd have to boil it. But they were also smart enough that if they were going to drink it, they'd put a cloth over it to filter out all the rocks, or they'd let the sediment fall to the bottom and they'd ladle it out into a glass. But back then, what's interesting is most people would drink coffee or tea or cider or beer. Even kids would be far more likely to be drinking beer at dinner. Now, their beer that they used, they called it table beer, and it had like 1% alcohol, so very low alcohol. So it would take a lot to get a kid drunk back in the 1800s. Now, some people comment that it's odd that Marty's great-great-great-grandmother would look anything like his mother. Does this represent some twist in the family tree that they don't want? But I think this woman could not possibly be related to the Baines ladies because she's not day drinking. Then we have the scene where Marty goes into the bar and he orders some ice water. At this point, refrigeration is something that the average person would have no access to. They would start to have ice boxes a little bit after this time period. At this time, you'd have to be a pretty wealthy person to have any encounters with ice in your water. But also, people still believed that it was unsafe to drink anything that was too cold. They felt that it could give your stomach a chill and make you very sick. Even doctors had believed that up until a couple decades earlier. So with the chance of ingesting some kind of parasite and also wanting to put ice in it, which could chill his stomach and give him asphyxia, Marty's super brave in this den of, they give him the whiskey, but what he was ordering was far more dangerous as far as they were concerned. But then he sees Doc, who has created his own ice cube machine.
Iced tea?
No, thanks.
Marty just, he like flippantly turns down the offer of iced tea. It's like, pfft. I mean, Doc's like working. He's showing off for his friend. He hasn't had any visitors that he could show this thing to. Finally built something to scale. Well, that's going to do it for this one. I want to give a shout out to the guys on Patreon. Aaron Wester, Al Archer, Carson Loveridge, Chris, Dana Snyder, M, Jason Evans, Jason Yealy, Jarrett Rusky, Jamie and Tom, Jen, Matthew Chapin, Mike and Jess, my big brother Rob, and Nick Roche. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to the rest of you for watching. This was a lot of fun. My favorite movie. Always fun to talk about. I'll see you next time.